I'm remaking the Super Nintendo game PLOK. There are 4 main components to this devlog: Collectibles, Fleas, Hornets and Orson. In the World 1 compilation video, you might have noticed that I added Super Nintendo cartridges based on the PLOK cartridge. These were intended to replace collectibles that would originally give you PLOK continue letters, which would allow you to continue from a game over. My remake doesn't use lives or game overs, so instead I just added 1 collectible you can get per level. I felt it was necessary to have this due to some of the old collectibles being in hard to reach areas. For example, in the first stage of World 2, we have a collectible here, surrounded by spikes. Now, if that collectible didn't exist, what motive do you have to go through a spike maze instead of just using invincibility to go above? I also added golden Super Nintendo carts to the secret levels. These collectibles appear on the map. Speaking of the secret levels, I've also given each secret warp their own colour so you can see where they go at a glance. The flea art started off pretty cursed. I was curious what the fleas would look like with PLOK's eyes as a beginning, and I created this abomination. A few of the designs I drew just looked too big or freaky, and eventually I settled on this smaller version. To get a feel for the flea art, I started to implement the animations in-game so I could actually see them move with motion. After bullying the flea for a bit, I moved on to movement and health. For context, whenever a flea is damaged, they change colour, which is a good indication of how damaged they actually are. Dark blue is full health, then light blue, then green, and then the flea is wiped from existence. Fleas jumping to a specific position was challenging. Eventually I got Fleas to jump to the player with aimbot level precision. Then I nerfed it so that the player has to be within a certain range, or else the flea just jumps to a random spot. I wanted to share some footage of some of the test areas that I do. This was a common one, using platforms to try and block the fleas in to see how they'd behave. And I ended up making it so that if they hit a wall while jumping, they should now change direction. Unlike some other enemies, fleas don't actually die if they hit water. Instead, they jump out. There are a few areas where PLOK can go where I don't want the fleas to be able to go. So, to keep the fleas in a decent spot for PLOK to hit them, I added these barrier blocks. And they look suspiciously like Minecraft barrier blocks. I also added functionality to the Flea Eggs that I made last time. After enough time has passed, all the eggs have been hit or walked into by a player, they start to hatch. Later on, I added a health bar for the total number of fleas, a flea flag that will heal you when you pick it up, and I made it so that the flag would spawn on the last flea so that you can complete the level. Previously we added hornet eggs that don't really do anything, so we need to actually add hornets into the game. I put the hornet cycling the player and it has no issues whatsoever. I got the hornets to change focus when they detect a flea egg or an enemy, and they'll circle it until it's defeated. The hornets die after attacking. A couple strange issues came out of the hornet attacks. One time the hornets carried the flea away. Another time they would just camp the flea and wait for its invincibility frames to go. I made it so that hornet eggs actually increment the number of hornets you can spawn. Like the original game, you can only have 4 hornets out at once. When you spawn hornets, you have this effect of hornets flying around your head. I also added a handy UI indicator to show how many hornets you have in reserve. What does Orson have to do with Discord? Well, you can see early development of Orson and give feedback in the Tom Band Discord. Join the Discord. So Orson is some dude that hates you and will spit at you, but then when you slap him, he flips over and lets you ride him. Why did I word it like that? Anyway, this is the art for my version of Orson. He shares some of PLOK's colours. First, I got the projectiles working. When you shoot Orson, they flip, a hidden platform is enabled, and when PLOK jumps on it, they're snapped into place with a fixed joint. Orson reads PLOK's intended movements and moves left and right based on this. If the player jumps or crouches, the collisions between PLOK and Orson are temporarily removed, allowing PLOK to detach from the platform. I then added a fire trail and made it so that Orson would disappear after a time limit of PLOK standing on top of them. When Orson disappears, they reset in their original position, back into the attacking state. If Orson goes off screen when flipped but not flying, they will also reset into their attacking state. That's it for today. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye.